Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So if you've been anywhere on the internet, you know that Skinny is back. Skinny is back, 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 back. On my feed, I see influencers saying that skinny should be the goal. Skinny talk is a thing now. We see so many videos of before and after, even some stars such as this one promoting skinny agenda and weight loss drugs. And then, as a counter to that, the gym community is kind of revolting and saying, no, skinny is not what we need. We need strong women. Muscle mummies are back in trend now. So, it is a very interesting time. So, I thought it would be interesting to do a video and come and talk to you about health and how we measure health and how we think about health, because looking at what is happening online, it seems like a lot of the conversations around health are centered around weight and appearance, which is which makes sense because we look at people and bodies are political, so we judge bodies. But I thought it would be interesting to have a science based approach to what health is and try to broaden the conversation. So, what I want to do today is first talk about weight loss drugs because there are newcomers in this space and I think they truly are game changers. So, it would be interesting to dive deeper into what they do and some of the drawbacks to using them. What is the research saying about that? And then I thought it would be interesting to try to give some other indicators that we can use to measure health and longevity as a way to kind of step away from that weight focus when we talk about health. So let's just dive right in. So let's talk about weight loss drugs. So they've been popularized around 2 to 3 years ago, starting with Ozempic. And basically, they started as a way for people to manage and help with type 2 diabetes. And then slowly, with drugs such as Wegovy, people started taking them for weight loss primarily. So, weight loss drugs, and I'm oversimplifying this here, they help you with appetite. So, they help you feel fuller longer. That way, you're not eating as much. And they are very, very, very efficient. So, when people are taking weight loss drugs, we see that they're able to lose between 15 to 25% of their body weight. In history, we had drugs that are so powerful, such as these ones and reliable too over time. Before, when we think about weight loss, well, it used to be quite hard to lose weight. People had to go through a very painful process for a lot of people. And we all remember watching those MTV shows, I Used to Be Fat and stuff like that. So, weight loss was gruesome. And it was also a big problem. As we know, in America, approximately 42% of people are considered obese. So, it is a true public health crisis. And those weight loss drugs are really helping people with obesity and managing their weight. So they are working. It is also interesting to know that some research has come up that those drugs help with other things as well, such as addiction management. So that is what the research is showing. Now, when we talk about drawbacks, it is interesting to note that because people are losing weight on these drugs, we're also noticing that they're not only losing fat, they're also losing lean muscle. So people are getting weaker. This is what the research is showing, new research that has come up. So doctors often advise people on these drugs when they are able to do so to accompany taking them with strength training. And I think that's interesting. This allows us to broaden up the conversation because it shows that the conversation around health should not only be about weight, but also about strength and other things that we should look at. And let's just dive into what these other things should be. So there was a study that came out earlier this year on women and tried to explain some of the strongest predictors of longevity and lifespan. And they found that two things were great predictors. The first one being grip strength, which means the strength that you have in your hands. And grip strength is a great predictor of longevity because it is a proxy to understand how much strength you have within your whole body. So the more you have grip strength, the longer of a life expectancy you could have. So that was the first predictor that they found. The second predictor that they found was the ability to sit down on a chair and stand up multiple times within a certain interval. So the people who were able to do it the fastest were seen to have longer life expectancy. And I think they did that study over 8 years. So it is very interesting because it tells us that strength is one of the important factors that we should look at when we think about health and longevity, and then also a mix of mobility and strength through the exercise of having to sit down and stand up from a chair. So these are other two parameters that I truly believe people should pay attention to, and that are not captured when we're having that conversation about weight. People should be worried about, am I strong enough to carry my body and do daily tasks? Am I mobile enough to stand up from a chair comfortably, sit down? Sitting on the floor is another thing that people can look at. And I think another thing that is not captured, but also very important when we're having that conversation about weight loss, but not factoring in some of the other benefit that comes from movement, that comes from exercises and doing activities, physical activities that you enjoy, is also the impact that it has on your brain. We used to think that the brain was set after a certain age, it wouldn't develop, it wouldn't change. But now we have new studies that are showing us that actually the brain learns, the brain shifts and it moves. And one of the ways that we can keep on working on this brain and feeding it and pushing it to work is through physical activity, such as working out, playing games, anything that you like to do, whether it is kayaking, whether it is like me, aerial hoops. Your brain really feeds and really needs additional signal and to be challenged, and it shows because it helps with dementia, for example, or Alzheimer management. So there's so much that is not captured when we're having a conversation focusing only on weight, and on instead of having a conversation on longevity and making sure that people are living longer and aging gracefully, which I think should be the goal. And I think it is a good reminder for ourselves because I get sucked into the weight conversation. I'm on Instagram and I see people, the Pilates bodies, and I'm like, oh, maybe that should be the goal. And then I start wondering about my own weight. And I think it's important to kind of take a step back and look at what the science is showing, but also reflect on what are our goals. Do we want to look good now, or are we focusing on living a long life, a life that we can enjoy with our family, with our close ones, and also being independent as long as possible? I feel like for the betterment of society, it should be a goal. I know that I want to live long, and I see how my parents are and how physically active they are. And this is the example that that I'm taking for myself, that I do try to leave to. And hopefully that is kind of a reassurance that weight is not the only thing that matters. So the next time you spend time looking at the scale and thinking, oh, I'm not where I should be, I'm not skinny enough, just remind yourself that there is so much more to the health conversation other than weight. So that was it for me. Hopefully that was helpful. A little bit of science, a little bit of storytelling to kind of shift the conversation away from weight. So what do you think about this whole weight loss drugs? Do you feel like it's going to be a big change, or do you feel like we're just taking this out of proportion and it's not going to be that big of a shift in the way people see movement and approach physical activity? I'm really curious to know, what is your take on that? What do you think about skinny talk and anything that is happening? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.